All right, my friends, welcome back. Yes, I'm welcoming myself back. I missed a week of the Dr. Sem Yankee show, and I missed a week of the Start Spreading the News podcast. As you know, right now, I am combining both shows into one. I went back to work as an interim principal for just a few months, and right now, I have had zero free moments. That's not a complaint. It's just the reality. And knowing that I would have no time, and I'll tell you more about that in just a moment, I said for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, I am going to combine both programs. You can also, of course, find these shows on the greatest Yankee site in the whole world, Start Spreading the News. And today we're going to focus on one big idea. But before I get to that, let's make today a great day. How do you make your day great? It's simple. It is simple. You look around and you find the good, and there is good in so many places. There is good all over. You find the good and you appreciate it. That's how you make your day great. Instead of looking around at all the bad things, all the things that are terrible, look around to all the things in your life. And there are many. Sometimes you need to look a little bit deeply, but there are many. Look to all the good things and you will have a great day. It's that simple. Then, would you like to make your day even greater? It's even simple again. Does that make sense? It's even simple again. It's even more simpler. Does that make sense? Is simpler a word? Oh my goodness. Let's not get too silly here. Take the goodness that you have and spread it forward. Share your goodness with others. Do nice things for other people. Then you won't just be having a great day. You'll be perpetuating that greatness. You'll be making other people's lives better. And what could be better than that? Remember, when you give love, when you give kindness, it comes back to you in greater amounts than you ever gave. I know this to be true because it's been the story of my entire life. When I've been nice, people have been nice to me. When I've given love, people have given that love back to me. When I give respect, people give respect back to me. Just be a good person. It's that simple. Make your day great. Just a reminder that this program is brought to you by Artemisia Publishing. Artemisia Publishing publishes a plethora of great books in a variety of genres, but they also do baseball. They have published my book, The Least Among Them, an award winner, a fantastic book. They published Roy White's autobiography, written with me, another award winner and another great book. They published Scattering the Ashes, the greatest novel ever written. If you have not read Scattering the Ashes or listened to the audiobook narrated by me, you need to. Your life isn't complete until you've read or heard, or both, Scattering the Ashes. Artemisia published 365.2, Going the Distance, my motivational book. And coming in February, I need to make a better graphic, The Greatest New York Yankees by Uniform Number. All of those books will be coming or have been published by Artemisia Publishing. One reason I haven't had time is, and I knew this would happen, right as I went back to work, I got back all of the edits, the proofing edits for this wonderful book, The Greatest New York Yankees by Uniform Number. I spent, it had to be 90, 100 hours or so working through every edit. The book was great before. It really was. It was solid. But Artemisia Publishing and their team, they sent it back to me and they said, yeah, this is good, but we can make it better. And they gave me a task that I did at 3 in the morning, 3:45 in the morning, late at night, spent entire weekend days poring over every word, and I made the book that much better. It is now in the next level of proofing and the book being set up for pages. I'm about to send it out for reviews. Some people have already read the book in its new and improved, better format, getting ready for publication. And I'm already getting replies saying, this thing's great. Oh my goodness. So stay tuned. In February, the greatest New York Yankees by uniform number. So let's talk about a great Yankee by uniform number. And the most obvious off-season move the Yankees need to make this year. The most obvious off-season move the Yankees need to make this year. I'm recording this on Friday morning. I just saw this news. It must have broken late last night. I teach on Thursday night, so maybe it broke in the evening, but it's definitely broken. It's definitely out there. I saw it early this morning, and it prompted me to say, this is what I need to do, the Start Spreading the News podcast and the Dr. Sem Yankees show on. This is the most move the Yankees need to make this off season. It's so simple. Don Mattingly, number 23, who's in that book as the greatest Yankee to wear number 23. Don Mattingly just told the Blue Jays that he's not coming back as a coach. Donnie Baseball is leaving the Blue Jays. Donnie Baseball does not want to retire. And I'm not even sure that Don Mattingly still wishes to be a big league manager. But there are a handful of people in the game as respected, as looked up to, as honored as Don Mattingly. Don Mattingly, of course, made his legend as a player, as the greatest player of his generation with the Yankees in the 1980s. He was on an absolute Hall of Fame path as one of the great Yankees of all time until his back gave out on him. But he's beloved in the Bronx. And of course, he was a Yankees coach. And then he was a Dodgers manager. And he was a Dodgers coach. I think it actually went the other way around. He was the manager of the Marlins. And just recently, he was a coach on the Blue Jays. Don Mattingly knows more about hitting than most human beings combined. Don Mattingly knows more about baseball and strategy and motivation and teamwork than probably most people combined. Now, let me get this very clear. I'm not saying that Don Mattingly needs to be the Yankees manager. As a manager, and I am the biggest Don Mattingly fan ever, Don Mattingly is the guy I grew up with. I was a little bit older, but he was the first Yankee I saw come up and be great. Maybe Righetti a year before, but it was really Mattingly. The great Yankees of my earliest years, Nettles, Roy White, Guidry, Reggie, Goose Gossage, Sparky Lyle, Thurman, Willie Randolph. By the time I became a fan in 1977, they were already established. The first player I grew up saying, like, I wonder if this kid is going to be great was Don Mattingly. And then he carried me throughout the rest of my high school years, through college, like as the symbol of the Yankees. I'm a big Don Mattingly fan. But Don Mattingly wasn't the world's greatest manager. I don't know if he's a great manager. He never won a World Series. He never brought a team to the World Series. I'm not saying the Yankees need to bring Don Mattingly back as a manager. I am not saying that. I'm saying the Yankees need to bring Don Mattingly back to be part of the organization. He's a great hitting coach. I don't know if he wants to be a hitting coach. He could be a great first base coach or a great third base coach. I don't know if he wants to do that. He said he wants to stay in baseball. So maybe you just make him a bench coach. Bring him back. He can help Ben Rice learn how to play first base. Is there a better person out there in the entire world except maybe for Keith Hernandez? I mean, we have to be honest and fair and say, like, yeah, Mattingly was great, and he was. But so was Keith Hernandez, and arguments could be made that defensively Hernandez was the greatest of all time. I mean, Mattingly's in the conversation defensively. And both of those guys really deserve Hall of Fame consideration. It's nice that Mattingly's going to be on the ballot. My son Ethan has a couple of articles on the Hall of Fame ballot right now on Start Spreading the News. Spoiler alert. He thinks Mattingly's getting in, and not really because of the numbers, but go read the article. But is there a better person not named Keith Hernandez who could work with Ben Rice to teach him how to play a great defensive first base than Don Mattingly? Of course there's not. There's no one better than Donnie Baseball. And Don Mattingly would bring a different perspective to the team than this group self-think that they've invested in for all these years, that everybody has to be on the same page. And guess what? That doesn't work. That never works. When everybody thinks the same and no one is allowed to think differently, teams, organizations, ball clubs cannot grow. That is the antithesis of good leadership, of good team building, of good management. No, you need people in there that say the opposite, that challenge the thinking of the organization, that say, let's look at things a little differently. And for the Yankees, who have not won a World Series since 2009, but, and I keep saying this, that seems like the easy answer, and that's the answer the Yankees actually want us to say. Well, it hasn't been that many years. It's only 15. They've won one World Series since 2001. That's a record of a disaster for a team as legendary as the Yankees, the biggest team financially in baseball. To have only one World Series victory since 2001, that's an embarrassment. That's a failure. And I know some people say, oh, the Yankees have to win the World Series or it's a failure is baloney. No, it's not. That's how the Yankees built their reputation. That might not be the standard for the Red Sox or the Orioles or the Pirates or the Phillies or the Brewers. It's the standard for the Dodgers now, who learned this from the Yankees. No coincidence the Dodgers keep winning World Series. No, that's how a baseball team, a professional team, the greatest team should be operating. Win it all, or we didn't succeed. This nonsense about, well, we've had 1 million in a row, 500 seasons or better, but we never win a championship, is a loser mentality for the Yankees. Don Mattingly would be someone who changes the way, maybe subtly, maybe on the fringes, but changes the way the Yankees think about the team, the way the Yankees organization works. He brings a different perspective. He can tell them a bit about how the Toronto Blue Jays are operating. This is such a slam dunk. This is such an easy thing to take the great Yankee, one of the greatest Yankees, one of the most beloved Yankees, and to bring him back and make him part of the organization. Now, I know the other argument. Well, Aaron Boone might feel threatened if Don Mattingly is sitting next to him on the bench. Aaron Boone might feel threatened if Don Mattingly is a coach on his staff, because that might mean that Don Mattingly might then make sure that Aaron Boone is fired, or that he's so accessible might make it easier to fire Aaron Boone, or some other such nonsense. And that's what it all is, nonsense. If you are a leader, you should not ever be afraid of the guy sitting next to you taking your job. If you are a leader, and I mean a strong leader, a leader who knows what he's doing, a leader that has conviction, a leader that believes he is the right man for the job, a leader that truly leads, if you are that, then you should have no problem having someone else next to you on your side who's also very competent and very good at what he does. In fact, if you're a leader, you should surround yourself with people who are better than you to make yourself even better. That is what leadership is. If you're a leader who only wants people around you who are weaker than you, who can't challenge you, you are not, underlined, not a leader. If you are the type of leader that needs to have people around you who just kiss up to you and who tell you you are right and who affirm all of your ideas correctly or incorrectly, you are not a leader. A leader doesn't walk around and have everybody tell him he's right. No, a true leader brings in lots of different ideas, lots of different philosophies, lots of, I guess I can't come up with another word, but lots and lots of ideas so that he can then listen to all these different perspectives and ideas and approaches and say, wow, I hadn't thought of that. You get better leadership, better quality, a better product if you bring in lots of different ideas that can be synthesized to come up with the one best approach. That's a much better way to run an organization than to say, well, this is what I think we should do. You're right. Yes, you're right. Yep, that's right. You're right. That's not leadership. That's a bunch of cowards. If the reason to not bring in Mattingly is because it might make Aaron Boone uncomfortable, that's the reason to fire Aaron Boone. If the reason to not bring Don Mattingly back to the Yankees is that it might upset the way the Yankee organization is running, it might go against the philosophy, the failed philosophy that they've been running under for the last 25 years, then it's time to fire those people. If I were Hal Steinbrenner, I'd call up Mattingly right now and I'd say, you're a coach on my staff. What role do you want? And then I would call in Brian Cashman and I would say, I just signed Don Mattingly to be a coach on the team. And if Cashman says, oh, no, that's a bad idea, he has a different philosophy, that's not the philosophy we follow, I would then say, Mr. Cashman, love you. You deserve to be in Monument Park. You did great things for the Yankees. Have a nice day. Obviously, you have gotten to the point where you just want people to agree with you. Now, I don't think Cashman would say that. But if he did, how dare you bring in Mattingly? What? A Yankee legend? I would then say, Mr. Cashman, your days are over. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Here's a watch. We'll call you next summer when we put a plaque up in Monument Park for you. And then I'd call in Aaron Boone. And I'd say, Booney, guess what? I just got a new coach on your staff. And if he said, what? Don Mattingly? That makes me uncomfortable. I don't know if I feel comfortable with Donnie Baseball in the same dugout and in the same clubhouse with me. I'd say, well, that says a lot about your lack of leadership and lack of confidence. Have a nice day. And no, you don't get a plaque because you didn't do a great job as the manager. You never won anything for us. Oy vey. You know, I'm over-exaggerating a little bit here for fun, for effect or whatever. But the bigger point remains. Don Mattingly is out there. Don Mattingly is a Yankee legend. Yankee fans are not happy right now. They're tired of the same old, same old. I know. I talk to them every single day. I have a Yankees site that gets millions of views. I think we're over 5 million since I started the site. There's comments on every article, or at least 99% of the articles. People talk to me about the Yankees. Oh, you're the Yankee guy. What do you think about this? And I hear it from everybody. Yankee fans are frustrated with the organization. They seem mired in the muck of doing the same thing year after year, the same thing that doesn't work. They don't feel a connection to the manager or the coaches. That could change immediately, drastically, with one simple move, bringing back Don Mattingly. Make Don Mattingly part of the Yankee organization. This is so simple. The minute that was on Twitter, when I first saw it this morning, I took our regularly scheduled 6 a.m. article and I got rid of it. And I put up a quick article, bring back Donnie, or Yankees, hire this man. I'm going to actually run the article a few times over the next week, so I put a couple of different headlines. I think for today's, it says, which is really yesterday's, it says, Yankees, hire this man. This is such a no-brainer. Bring back Donnie. Bring back a guy who has history with a host of other clubs. A guy who knows baseball inside and out probably better than 99% of the people in the Yankees organization. A guy who just might challenge the Yankees' conventional thinking. And a guy who the fans are going to embrace and love and be thrilled to see. We haven't had Don Mattingly at Old Timers Day in forever. He would finally be back. But he would be there every single day. Can you imagine the cheers every time the Yankees take the field, or the batters, I guess, get ready, and Don Mattingly takes the field to be the first base coach or the third base coach, or he brings out the lineup card, or you see him sitting next to Booney in the dugout? He just might be able to help Aaron Boone become a better manager. And again, I don't know that Don Mattingly was a great manager. Don't misrepresent what I'm saying here. I'm not saying make him the manager. But I am saying make him part of this organization. It is such an easy and obvious move. It would make the fans happy. It would bring class to the organization. It would bring a different philosophy. And again, if it makes the current Yankee management in whatever form uncomfortable, that speaks volumes about them and their confidence and their ability and their knowledge and their leadership. Leaders bring in other great thinkers. That's what they do. Great leaders synthesize lots of information and bring it in and make decisions. They don't operate in an environment where people just tell them they're right. When I was my best as a principal, I brought in the teachers who disagreed with me. I had an open door. Sometimes they would go, hey, Paul. I'd say, yeah. They'd come in, they'd close the door, and they'd say, we've got to talk. Those were difficult conversations. I didn't want to hear that ideas I had were wrong or that people didn't understand what I was saying. But because I had people who would challenge me, I became a better principal. I became a better leader. I worked for other leaders who didn't want people to disagree with them. And guess what? They were ineffective. It didn't work because an organization cannot thrive if the people around the leader are just people who affirm whatever the leader says and who tell the leader that everything he says is correct. That is not leadership. And that is why the Yankees need different voices in the organization, and why the first of those great voices should be hired today. It should have happened yesterday. Maybe it did. But the Yankees need to bring Don Mattingly back. Easy, simple, do it. All right, my friends, how's that? Woo! It's good to be back. Have yourselves a wonderful Saturday and have yourselves a wonderful Monday night after watching this, because this program, of course, airs on Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. and Monday nights at 9 p.m. right now while I'm doing 2 shows for the price of 1. Have a great day. Let's go Yankees. Find the good in life. Embrace it. Appreciate it. And then pay it forward. Give it away to others. Want to have a great day? Want to have a great life? Do it. Enjoy, my friends. Let's go Yankees.